Good afternoon, Louisiana, and welcome to Bayou Bets for Thursday, May the 4th. I'm Zach Ewing, and Jim Derry, May the 4th be with you. Had to do it, had to say it.
Oh boy,
Um,
I'm glad
yeah,
I can't do it tomorrow. So get
old
it out of
man
the
yells
way.
at cloud. Yeah. Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. You can wear like a sombrero for gratitude or
You
something.
know, no. I don't know. We'll probably pass on that. Maybe we'll eat Mexican food tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a little
Well,
too much for me.
I was at Costco this afternoon, and all the samples were Mexican food, and I didn't put two and two together until just now
Well,
that it was a Cinco de Mayo thing.
my wife is a manager of a food sales company, and it's been a long, crazy week. They have been supplying the Mexican restaurants to the hilts the past few days. So lots of
tequila ready.
tortilla chip. Oh well, that we can do at home.
Yeah.
I might be the only way I can watch the Lakers and Warriors.
Hey, Bayou Bets is the sports betting source for Louisiana. We do welcome you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get all the updates every time we go live, as well as all of our other videos that we post throughout the week. Check us out at the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. You can also check us out on bet.nola.com. And we are sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook. So check them out, nola.com/Caesars, to get our special offer for our listeners. NOLA.com/Caesars for new users if you would like to become a sports bettor. And if you would, we would, we have a lot of fun with that, obviously.
Yeah, but obviously we're corrupting the entire planet.
Let's not get into it too far, but that does lead us into our headlines for the day. Alabama fired its baseball coach, and although the university did not come out and say this straight away, it was later reported by both D1Baseball.com and by The Athletic that this was indeed in connection to the sports betting controversy from last Friday when Alabama was in Baton Rouge at Alex Box Stadium. They lost to number 1 LSU, a result that certainly would raise no eyebrows in and of itself, Jim, and we'll get into this in a second. But it did flag an integrity firm flagged two large bets in the state of Ohio on LSU to win the game. And now Coach Brad Bohannon has been fired in connection with this. So that's one headline. We're going to get into that in just a second. Other stuff we're talking about today. Forte is the favorite in the Kentucky Derby Saturday. Report the Saints, a report from a German newspaper, Bild. The Saints will play the Patriots in Germany, their second straight year with an international game. And the Lakers and Warriors play game 2 tonight.
Hagen's wash.
Does that mean hogwash?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you say hogwash in German, so that's my really bad. I'm really German. Derry wasn't my dad's real last name, by the way. I've never said this publicly, but my dad's original last name before he changed to his stepdad's last name was Neidlinger.
Are you sure you're allowed to say this?
I mean, it's true. It's a fact.
I'm just making sure you're not giving up family secrets or something here.
I mean, I don't want the police to come after me or anything. They're looking for a Jimmy Neidlinger somewhere. But now so
look, but
that's where my hard head comes from.
You would not be a fan of the Saints. I was personally hoping it would be in Munich because my brother lives in Munich and it would be a great time for us. It sounds like it would be in Frankfurt, which is in the western part of Germany. If it is true that the Saints
anywhere east of New York, it's unacceptable. That's just, they've already played there last year. Why'd they have to go again? I mean, they're not the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They won't lose a home game this time, at least. It'll be a road game.
Oh, almost had a bad word.
All right. Let's get in just a bit to the Alabama situation here. Look, here's basically what happened for those who have not been following the story. Last Friday, LSU, Alabama opened a baseball series at Alex Box Stadium. LSU's number 1 in the country. Alabama is like a bubble team for the NCAA tournament. They're not terrible, but they're certainly not expected to come in to Baton Rouge and beat LSU, particularly not when the Tigers had Paul Skeens on the mound, as they did on Friday. So LSU's a -245 favorite. Okay. What I don't know, and that -245 was the closing line. What I don't know is what the line was before Alabama announced, and this is sort of the key point of the whole thing, that their starting pitcher, Alabama scratched their starting pitcher. They've got a pretty good Friday night starter themselves. Luke Holman has a sub a sub-3 ERA, and he was scratched a couple of hours before the game. They had some kid who's only thrown 20 innings all season pitch, and LSU jumped to an 8-1 lead. That now they had to hang on, and they won
Right.
8-6. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we saw bans on betting on Alabama baseball in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. FanDuel Sportsbook has also lifted all bets on Alabama off the board in all of its jurisdictions. And then the real bombshell comes today, Jim. Brad Bohannon, the Alabama coach, fired, and reports say that this was in connection to that gambling controversy.
Oh, let the gambling will corrupt the world. Cockroaches come off the floor of the marsh, wherever they come from. I mean, who cares? I mean, it's anyone who thinks there isn't some sort of fixing going on somewhere. It's been happening since. You're going to talk about this more later, so I don't want to steal your thunder. It's happening since the beginning of time. It probably happened when they had cement wheels back in caveman days. When they were betting on stuff like that. I'll bet you 2 loads of dung to your 1 that I beat you. I mean, who knows? I mean, who cares? I mean, look, LSU was a -245 favorite. That's about right. I mean, again, you said you don't know what the line was before, but it's probably pretty similar. It's no surprise that LSU won the game. It's no surprise that LSU swept. So, I mean, it wasn't a surprising outcome. What would happen had Alabama won? Would there still be this outrage and accusations of cheating? Who knows? But look, it's when I was a kid back in well, I wasn't really, I guess I was just a teenager, I guess if you call that a kid. But Tulane had a big point and shaving scandal with their basketball team. I think it was 1984, 83, 84, somewhere along there. Someone watching who's older than me probably could tell me the year. But it was a major thing. Hot Rod Williams was accused of shaving points. It used to happen actually a lot more than it does now. And so, I mean, it's going to happen. I don't think it's happening more than it used to happen. Actually, I think it happens less. And so we'll see what comes out of it. But I don't think until the facts come out, we can even get into a proper discussion because we don't even know what the actual accusations are.
Okay, so this is a little bit breaking, but just about 6 minutes ago, David Purdom from ESPN, who originally broke the story that the Ohio Gaming Commission was not allowing sports books to bet on Ohio. He has a new story out that says sportsbook surveillance video. This was at the BetMGM Sportsbook at Great American Ballpark, the Cincinnati Reds home ballpark. Okay, so sportsbook surveillance video indicated that the person who placed the bets was communicating with Bohannon at the time. Multiple sources with direct information about the investigation told ESPN.
Like he was texting. Okay, you just froze up. So I hope man, that's a really bad spot to freeze up. You know what? Zoe, do you mind coming? Do you mind coming in? That looks really bad. I'm gonna let. All right, you're back. When this is over, hold on. I'm changing the subject for 1 second. When this is over, make sure you go back and watch this, and your facial reaction that it froze on was priceless. I mean,
do I need to read the tweet again?
No, we got most of it. You said he was in communications with. In other words, while the coach was coaching.
I don't think it was while he was
before the game,
because the bet would have had to have been placed.
So he texted him before the game, and the coach said, "We're yanking the starter."
Okay, so surveillance video would not be able to tell who you were texting. He must have been on the phone with him, which is actually usually a no-no in sports books. Like you can't talk on the phone in sports books for that very reason.
You can't talk on the phone in sports books.
No, that's been a rule forever.
I mean, I know you can't talk on the phone when you're playing poker. I didn't know you couldn't
talk on the phone in sports books. No, I mean they've actually loosened on that rule now that
people on the phone.
So
people are on their phone all the time.
Yeah, I mean they've loosened on that rule, but you're not supposed to be talking on the phone, especially not as you approach the counter to make a bet. Now,
I want to walk in the Harrah's on Saturday and see how many people in the sports book are not using their phones. Give me a break.
I get that, but I mean. That's why that rule existed. So
wait, do they know he was talking to Bohannon?
That's what they're saying. He was communicating with Bohannon at the time, which is pretty damning evidence for Brad Bohannon.
But how do they know this?
Listen, I haven't seen the video. I don't know. But if that is in any way provable, the guy will
I
never
mean,
work in college.
was he like standing in the sports book going, "Oh, you're pulling the starter, Bry? Okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah.
I'm in line right now. Let me get my 50 grand ready." I mean, how did they know that he was on?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, this is literally breaking 5 minutes ago on
Okay.
ESPN. So, I mean, this is where look, is this bad? Yes. Is this the first real controversy we've had since sports betting became prevalent after PASPA was overturned in 2018 and more states started to legalize? Yes. But as you said, and I've got more to talk about this later, but like, this is not something you can totally prevent in any way, shape, or form.
You can't prevent it. By the way, Zoe corrected me. It was 1985 when the point shaving scandal existed at Tulane, and it was a huge deal. But again, you're right. You can't. It's going to happen. It's going to, if you banned legal. By the way, all you morons out there who think that gambling is ruining the world of sports books, if you got rid of every legal sports book on the planet. Okay, and I'm talking about every single sports book on the planet, you got rid of it. Guess what? This would still happen because you're not going to get rid of a legal sports book. It's kind of like the marijuana thing. Do we think that people didn't smoke marijuana before it was legalized? I mean, I'm not going to get into politics, but it's the same kind of thing. So, I mean, if you got rid of sports books, these things would still happen. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean. That's and honestly, and again, I'm stealing my own thunder a little bit from the end of the show here, but like, you are more likely to catch these things with legalized sports betting because everything is regulated. There are people watching everything. I mean, you are more likely to catch this stuff. If he was betting with some offshore book and he had a buddy in the Bahamas placing a bet for him, or even placing a bet with sportsbetting.ag or whatever it is on their phone at home, he probably doesn't get caught.
Well, so, if he was talking to the coach, that's obviously a no, and that dude's done. I mean, he's like done. Like he won't even coach high school again.
Oh, he may be in prison this time next year if that's the case. I mean, that's insider trading essentially.
Well, I mean, Congress does it. That's again, I said I wouldn't get into politics, and
Congress gets protected from it, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to get into politics either, but that's.
But this is actually kind of related to politics, right? I mean, it was hard enough for Louisiana and other states to get these books into legal existence. So, I mean, you don't want dumbasses like this to ruin it for everybody because, I mean, theoretically it could, right? I mean, you get a few of these numbnuts doing this kind of stuff, and then here it is, we don't have legalized gambling anymore. So,
and does this delay legalization in Texas, California, in Florida, the big states who have not legalized it yet? You get politicians saying, "Hey, wait, what about the situation with Alabama?"
I know some bookies who would be happy.
But look,
just saying.
Hey, it is important to note a couple of things before we move on, and one is that the LSU side of this is not suspected in any way, shape, or form.
No, they just did what they do. Hit the ball.
Yeah, they're just playing to win the game, and there was nobody suspected any gambling activity. The other thing that's important to note is that no student athletes are suspected
on either side.
The coach, on either side. So it was the coach acting. Whether that means he scratched this pitcher when he really didn't need to, or whether the pitcher needed to be scratched, but he was simply alerting someone about that before, before anybody else knew and before the sports books could change their line. The other thing is, these bets were described to me as large by Ronnie Johns.
What's is large like 50 grand?
Look, I don't know what the limit is on college baseball.
2 grand.
It can't be that high.
I would think not.
It has more to do with the fact that this would be an insider information.
And there are usually, there are usually, and a lot of people don't realize this, but they're usually like normal person kind of limits on smaller sports. Now in the NFL, you can pretty much go bet whatever you want. Major League Baseball, I'm not even sure like per game, but on futures you can bet more. In big games you can bet more. But there are usually limits, like 5 grand is a limit at a lot of places, especially online. So if it's 5 grand, I mean, yeah, that's a big bet, but I mean, is this dude wrecking his career to give somebody info on a $5,000 bet? That's really dumb. The dude doesn't belong in coaching, to be honest, if he's that dumb.
And remember, if and minus 245 is the closing line, let's just say it was minus 200 before this.
Yeah, so he had to bet $5,000
even if it's
win
minus
2,500. Yeah,
you're doing it for
$2,700
or something, like,
which is probably pocket change to this dude. If you're betting that, it's pocket change.
Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And so,
by the way, off topic but in topic, do we know how that catcher is doing? The one that took a ball in the throat?
Yeah, he was released from the hospital and said he's been cleared to return to games, I think.
All right, that's good news.
So good news. So LSU does play this weekend in baseball. They continue their. Is it Auburn they play this weekend?
Yeah, Auburn.
At Auburn, and so LSU continues at number 1
with 3 series left, I believe.
Yep, and then the SEC tournament. So we are going to continue as well. Of course, still a lot more to come on that, but we have another couple of topics to talk about. The NFL draft was a week ago, and the NFL schedule release is in 1 week. And we mentioned the first little piece of that. It's a rumor at this point, not verified, but could certainly be that the Saints will be playing the Patriots in Frankfurt, Germany. But I'm
not buying it.
We did find this interesting nugget. Conor Orr, Sports Illustrated senior writer, ranks. He did post-draft NFL power rankings. He put the Saints 27th, Jim. 27th. I'm going to read you.
Go ahead. You finish your statement.
Let's read what he wrote. 27, New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints are kind of doomed to exist in this middle ground, especially without an extra pick after last year's aggression in a middling class. That said, they did their best with the defensive interior and the edge, 2 spots that desperately needed attention to keep Dennis Allen's lifeblood alive. Isaiah Foskey isn't exactly the most creative edge rusher, but he is productive and has played against good talent. Brian Bresee will get to play next to Cam Jordan, which makes anyone's learning curve a little less steep. So I'm assuming there have been power rankings before this where he explains why he had the Saints so low, because that doesn't explain it at all. He says the Saints are doomed to exist in this middle ground. 27th ain't middle ground, Connor.
Yeah, that's 6th from the bottom, right? If my math is correct.
5th from the bottom, yeah.
Here's my I have 2 words for you when it comes to this. Called clickbait. I mean, there's really, first of all, there's no other reason to be doing NFL power rankings in May anyway. Second of all, if they stripped the Saints of every draft pick they had and they made all their draft picks free agents, they still wouldn't be as low as 27th. I don't think you could drop them lower than like 20th. I mean, and Lord knows that I've been called Derry Downer enough in my career. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anybody who thinks the Saints are the 6th worst team in the NFL, they're just doing it to get people to pay attention to them. It's like, what's the guy's name on NFL.com, and he has a show once a week, and they do their power. Heyman, it starts with an H. It's like Hasman or Heyman. Anyway, whoever that guy is a moron. He's like, he'll only do his power rankings like based on win. So you can, in other words, if the Vikings were 6-0 and they played the easiest schedule in the NFL, but yet the Chiefs were 4-2 and played every tough team on the planet, the Bills, they played, I don't know, you go through the list. They played the Eagles and whoever, and they played somebody twice. They were 4-2. By his rule, you can't even have them up there. They have to be with the other 4-2 teams. They can be at the top of the 4-2 teams. You go by record only. So, look, these power rankings are absurd. The only power rankings that I care about are the guys who I listen to on a regular basis who give me philosophy on what to look at this week as far as spread. Their power rankings, which are based off of play and how they decide what the lines are or should be. And that's really what I go off of every week. Those guys have their power rankings and they don't care. Their records basically are meaningless. Wins and losses are basically meaningless. It's who they played, how they played, yardage gain, how many points they were able to put up. What was the rank of the defense they went up against? What was the rank of the offense they went against? And they kind of come up with, and their quarterback also has a huge part in the power ratings. To me, those are the only power rankings that actually matter.
Well, that was borne out. The Vikings are only a 3-point favorite at home over the Giants in the playoffs last year. Well, why? Because
Right.
they're
Exactly.
just not as good as their record shows. I do want to preface this with, Connor Orr, hey, he went out on a couple of limbs. I appreciate that. I don't think his explanation was very good, but a couple of other things he had. He has the Jets at 6th. I know they got Aaron Rodgers, but okay. The Lions are 8th.
Oh, give me a break. Give me a break.
The Colts are number 11.
That's all I need to know. I didn't know that, but now that you told me the Colts are 11, the whole thing is it's voided.
Titans 17. I don't think
right.
What quarterback?
Where are the Texans, by the way?
The Atlanta Falcons are number 20, ahead of the Saints. They are in fact the top team in the NFC South at number 20.
Okay.
Carolina Panthers 23rd.
Bucks.
Let's see. The Saints are 27th, and the bottom 5 are the Broncos, Bucks, Commanders, Cardinals, and Texans. So
the Texans are not the worst team in football.
They were last year.
They're not this year.
Yeah, they may not be this year. We'll see.
They won't be.
Look, to your point, the power rankings that really matter of people who have to put their money where their mouth is are the odds makers. And the Saints odds to win the Super Bowl, bottom of your screen, plus 3,500. That is tied for the 13th best odds to win the Super Bowl.
And that's about right. That's about where
their win total 9.5, also tied for 13th when you consider
about where I put them
to the under. Now the playoff odds are actually better than 13th because they play in a weak division.
Right.
So they actually have a good chance at making the playoffs.
And they're the favorites to win the division.
Yeah, even if they're not one of the best 14 teams, which 14 teams makes the playoffs. If you're 15th or 16th playing in that division, you got a pretty good chance. But yeah, if you ask me where to put them, I'd put them probably between 15 and 17, right in the middle of the
fair. I'd have them a little higher than that, but that's fair. 15 to 17 is fair. I wouldn't be saying, "Oh God, what's wrong with you?" kind of thing. I think they're in the lower upper half, if that makes any sense. So you said they were 13 in the odds list. That's about where
13th with about 4 other teams.
It's about where I'd put them, about 13th. So and that obviously could change as we get into the preseason and see who's healthy and if Mike Thomas is going to play. And I mean, people don't realize if Mike Thomas is really going to play and make a huge difference, that makes a huge difference for this team. It gives Derek Carr a massive upgrade over what this team had last year. And now we know Alvin Kamara is going to be out, but you bring in a rookie, and I still think they're going to add another veteran. Maybe during training camp, if some veteran, I'm not saying Latavius Murray just got signed, so it's probably not going to be him. But if someone like Latavius Murray gets cut in preseason, you can be willing to bet the Saints going to be scouring the preseason waiver wires, and I think there's a good chance that they bring in a veteran running back and to help Kendre Miller and Jamal Williams, and I think that's what's going to happen as we go forward. So we'll see. I mean, it's a little too early to be making predictions on rankings or whatever like that. So, but look, I said it before, I'll say it again. Those odds on the Saints, if you want to put a couple bucks down on the Saints because that's what you do, or you really think the Saints are going to be good, whatever you're going to put them on, I would bet it now. I don't think any of these numbers are going to get lower. Maybe the win total number, you see it's juiced to the under. That may go closer to even at 9.5, simply because the Saints have a fairly easy schedule. And when we see how it breaks down, when we get the schedule next week. It is next week, right?
A week from today, we get the NFL schedule.
Okay, so I think that may change a little bit. But as far as everything else, you're not going to see any of these other odds go in your favor if you want to bet on the Saints.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, teams like this, they don't have a lot of weaknesses. Now, you could argue they're not super strong in any given area, but it's hard to point to any part of this team and say that's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
their secondary may be a strength.
Defensive line's a strength now. Quarterback's going to be a strength. Receivers a strength.
You could argue these are okay. They're above average. They're not top 5 in the NFL in any one area, but I mean, they're certainly not bottom 10 in the NFL in any area either. I wouldn't. Maybe offensive line.
No, and I don't think there's a spot on this team where they're bottom 10. I don't think there's a position on this team where they're bottom 10. Maybe Will Lutz is they're gonna have to have a kicker battle. Yeah, they're gonna have a kicker battle, I would think, in camp. So maybe there. But everything else, I mean, I think quarterback top 10, running back middle of the pack, receivers top 10 for certain if Michael Thomas is playing, tight end top 10 to middle of the pack, defensive line top 10, defensive backfield maybe top 5, linebackers, top 10 to middle of the pack. So I don't know where you would get 27 out of this team at all. And I agree with El Ray, by the way. El Ray is, I think he's spot on. We need to have El Ray on the show because a lot of things, almost everything he puts up there, I agree with. So
he's
which is probably not good for him.
Probably not. Probably not. Look, we did ask you, by the way, we talk about the draft. Did the Saints get a ton better in the draft? No, I don't know, but they filled holes. They did strengthen some depth, and we asked you, and most of you agree with that take. We asked you what letter grade you would give the Saints draft, and more than 500 of you voted, by the way. So thank you for that. And the poll is still open at bet.nola.com. More than 70% of you gave him a solid B.
Yeah, I gave him. I wouldn't have given him a solid B, but B- wasn't a choice there, so I said B. But I think C would have also been an appropriate vote. I think B or C, either one of that. If you voted A, you're just a big optimist and a hoot at, and you ride on magic carpets and whatever. I mean, there's no way it was an A. Okay, there's no way it was an F either. So I mean, you're the other way. If you voted an F, then you're just, you're a hater.
You're just being Connor Orr.
Exactly. I think D is the kind of the same way. I don't think you can give this draft a D either. But whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's I don't think it blew anyone out of the water, but I also did not hear anyone questioning really any pick. The one pick, well, except for you and Isaiah Foskey, that was the one.
Yeah,
was the one that people probably said, did they really make the best use of that number 40 pick? And we'll see.
Don't get me started. We've been so nice in this show today, except for when I called the betting haters cockroaches. Other than that, we've been so nice today. Don't get me started again.
But I kind of like
Isaiah Foskey is probably a super cool dude. I mean, look, I read something about how 15 minutes after he was selected, he was at one of his friends was supposed to be at the party, and his grandfather was like on his deathbed or something. And like 15 minutes out of the draft, he went and met his friend and was at his grandfather's bedside. So this dude's obviously a class act and is probably a really good player, but defensive end in the second round.
Cam Jordan replacement.
For God's sake. Cam Jordan doesn't need to be replaced right now.
Not yet.
We'll do that later. Do it when he needs to be replaced, for God's sake. Why don't you get what you need? You're just trying to spice.
Yeah, I thought we'd have a spicy show today, and it hasn't been as spicy.
Well, you knew that the Kentucky Derby isn't going to spice me up, and that's next.
We'll move on. We'll move on. And listen, subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel if you haven't already. We do appreciate you. Hit the like button for us and help us out. Subscribe. Help us grow that channel.
Grow it.
And also,
it's been growing. It's been growing. How much? We've grown a fair amount the last couple months. Done pretty well.
NOLA.com/Caesars also gets you our special offer at Caesars Sportsbook. So check that out. And we'll talk. And by the way, Caesars Sportsbook now has Caesars Racebook. So for the first time, you can actually bet on the Kentucky Derby.
Where's Mage?
Here, let's get the full odds.
There we go.
This isn't every horse. There's 16 horses in the field. So this is the top half. Forte's been the favorite all week. I will not bet on 2 fills because of improper apostrophe.
100%. You said it before I could say it. The 100%. I will bet against 2 fill apostrophe. Yeah. 2 fills what? What do they have? I mean, what do they own? Yes. Yeah, there's got to have something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Dermasotogake because I don't know how to say it. And
is that a Japanese horse?
Might be. Sotogake?
Sotogake?
Yeah.
Oh,
who do you like here? I know.
I'm not joking.
And he's going to be on that. Yeah. He likes Angel of Empire.
Yeah, Jeff is Dunk is coming on tomorrow to talk Saints draft reaction. Hopefully our final draft reaction. Anything Hopefully, it's the last time we have any draft reaction this year until next year or whatever. But he's going to also spend the last 4 or 5 minutes talking about the Kentucky Derby because he is a horse racing aficionado and he knows what he's talking about. And not only does he know what he's talking about, he knows a lot of people who know what they're talking about. So I am looking forward to hearing what he has. And I guarantee you it won't be Forte. He rarely picks the favorite. And guess what? He is right more often than he's wrong. But that being said, the Florida Marlin last week was holding up a sign that said the Marlin liked Mage. So I like the name. I'm going to bet on Mage a couple bucks. Why not?
Okay.
At least put it in an exacta.
Sotogake, which, by the way, Zoe says you're right, is a Japanese horse. One of two Japanese horses in the field. Won the United Arab Emirates Derby.
I'm a fan of everything Japanese, by the way. I don't know why. I just always have been. So,
Forte won the Florida Derby. Angel of Empire won the Arkansas Derby. I don't know. It should be a good race.
There's my exacta, Mage and Sotogake.
I'm not King's Barnes, who we saw, what was that, the sixth choice there at 12-1. King's Barnes won the Louisiana Derby at the fairground. So
I hope two Phils finishes last.
To be a horse racing aficionado, I'm not, but I do enjoy the Derby.
Yeah, down the stretch they come. I've watched it almost every year since I was a teenager. So my grandfather was huge into horse racing. He used to take me to the track back in the day when it was $1. I have no idea how much it costs to get in the fairgrounds now, but it was $1 to get in the fairgrounds back then just to get in. And he used to take me with him.
Gambling was a new thing.
Right. They didn't have any fixing back then, I'm sure, back in the 70s. But he used to take me to the track and I loved it. It was some of the best times that I had as a kid, and we'd make a day of it. And it was a lot of fun. So I don't go to the track nearly as much as I like to. I like horse racing. I just don't know enough about it. So, and I have plenty of friends who know it, and I ask them every year for their opinion. And if I get 3 of my friends who know what the hell they're talking about to say the same name, I bet on it.
There you go. There you go. All right, let's move on. The Derby is Saturday, so check that out, and we'll talk more about the winner on Monday. Last year was like a huge long shot too.
Yeah, it was. And Dunk was right about. He had a couple names that he threw out there. I think the 2 names that he gave me, I think they finished second and third, if I remember correctly. I have to go back and look.
Appropriately enough, the winner's name is Rich Strike. And Rich Strike was 80-1. So I'm sure we showed a similar thing last year. Wouldn't have even been on this list.
I don't think there's an 80-1 on. I don't think they have an 80-1.
50-1.
Yeah, I don't think they have a really super long shot this year. They have quite a few 50-1s actually. I have it up on my screen. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 50-1s, including a horse named Ray's Cane. That sounds like a winner, doesn't it?
Finger looking good.
Well, there you go.
Okay, that sounded bad.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a Kentucky Derby. I understood what you meant. Let's move on.
Yeah, all right. We got to do NBA playoffs before we go. Tonight, only one game. It's Lakers and Warriors. There's something about home team. Who'd you pick?
Best bet is, and it was -7 at the time. I took the Lakers because we faded the public yesterday with them Celtics. We took the Celtics -7. They won that easily. And everybody's going to think, oh, there's no way the Warriors could stink again. Well, I don't think the Warriors are that good, to be honest. I didn't think they were that good in the first round. I still don't think they're that good. And you know what? I think I underestimated the Lakers just a little bit. I am willing to admit it. I still don't know if I'm ready to watch it. I'm trying to catch up on some Apple TV shows, and I may watch that instead. We'll see.
I think I'm against you on this one, and I'll tell you the reason why. And I've been the low man on the Warriors last year, this year. They need Steph Curry to be great, and when he is, they can win. But when he's not, and he was okay in game 1, but he's not great. They can't beat good teams.
Yeah.
And so, but tonight specifically, I'll tell you why I like the Warriors. It's because the Lakers went all out to win game 1. They did. Anthony Davis played 44 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
LeBron James played 42 minutes. They went all out, and you could tell they almost gave that game away because they were playing so hard. It was okay. I'm sorry. Anthony Davis played 43. LeBron, that guy played 40. Austin Reeves played 38 minutes. D'Angelo Russell played 32, and Dennis Schroeder played 31 off the bench. So you're talking about like they ran themselves ragged. They were tired at the end of the game. They got the game they wanted in the Bay Area. I think this is one of those classic games where, kind of like the Sixers last night,
but I think
although
it
the
stays
Sixers played
close.
Joel Embiid. Yeah, it may stay close, and seven's a
I
lot
think
of
the
points.
Warriors win the game. I think the Warriors win the game. But although it wouldn't shock me at all if the Lakers won, and I said that in the best bets today, I think it's like plus 220-ish. If you want to take the Lakers money line, we're not suggesting that. We're saying take the spread. But I think Lakers plus, and now it's plus 6.5. It's dropped a little bit, some big money. Although I will say it was 6.5 at most books except Caesars. Yeah, except Caesars. So I think Caesars just moved in line with anyone else. Didn't want to give anyone an advantage by taking the Lakers. But when we did it earlier this afternoon, it was still Lakers plus 7. I just think it stays close. I just don't think the war. And I agree with you. Obviously, we saw Sunday when Steph caught fire and he scored 50 points. I mean, how often is he going to do that? But he couldn't miss. And you know, part of it is the Kings weren't very good that day defensively. Well, they haven't been good defensively most of the year, but they weren't scoring either. And you know, he just went off. So I don't think that LeBron needs to play 42 minutes. I don't think AD needs to play 40 minutes for them to win this game or keep it close. And I think you're going to see more Hachimura tonight. And
yeah, I think the Warriors are going to get a whistle tonight. I think they're going to play hard.
That's possible because the refs do like to take over certain series, and I could see them taking this over. That does worry me.
And by the way, if you do like the Lakers, that spread is back up to 7.
There you go.
So
I'm telling you, the general public, it's like 70% on the Warriors right now, minus 7. So I'm fading the public more than anything. And it worked last night. Whenever Daily Best Bets goes kind of in a slump, that's where I go look, and I don't just look. I look for where the public is, and I just want to bet against them, and that's kind of what I did tonight. Aunt Mabel is wrong a lot more than she's right.
Any other takes on the rest of these series as we continue? Nuggets Suns would be game 3. All over game 3. Actually,
I think the Suns are in deep trouble. I don't know how bad Chris Paul is hurt. And look, Devin Booker is just a different kind of player. We all know that, but they just haven't meshed well with KD and all that. I still think the Nuggets at plus 400 are a value. I think the Celtics are the best team in this thing, but just watching the Celtics, they don't impress me. They take too many threes. Why is Horford shooting all the time? I don't understand that. And so I'm not enamored with the Celtics at all. I think the Nuggets are the best value on this board, and I think they're still bettable.
So I'll say this: the Celtics, I think they have these games where they just, like you said, Horford shoots too much. They don't get the ball in the hand. Tatum's been known to throw up a stinker. Like they have these nights where they're going, "What the hell are they doing?" But I have trouble.
Which both happened last night, and they still won by 30. Tatum scored 7, and Horford shot was like 1 of 8 or 1 of 9 from 3 line.
I mean, I have a hard time seeing anybody beat them in a best of 7. We'll see. They're going to have to win a game in Philadelphia, but they're favored in Philadelphia. So it's not too much of a stretch.
I don't think Philly's that great, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. And I don't I could see Denver beating Boston, but I really think if it comes down to a 7-game series, I don't think there's anybody left who can beat Boston 4 times.
I don't usually like chalk, but I think Nuggets and Celtics, and I know obviously that's what you're rooting for because that's where your money is. But
I think on both, yeah.
I think Nuggets and Celtics would be one hell of a finals. I think that would actually be that'd be one of those series to me that probably goes 6 or 7 games and would be fun in the end. I think you'd have a bunch of close games. I'd like to see it because I think if the Lakers get demolished by the Celtics, in my opinion,
you can get 5-1 on an exacta Celtics over Nuggets for the final, and 7-1 Nuggets over Celtics.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
So some exactas at Caesars Sportsbook as well.
I
agree with you. I think those are the 2 best teams. I will say the Lakers, when they are able to get their stars 40 plus minutes, and they get some shooting from Austin Reeves and Jared Vanderbilt, like that is a better team than we gave them credit for. They play some good defense. Anthony Davis, for all of his faults, if he can stay healthy, a terrific defensive player and a game changer. And so
He
The
just
Lakers have a
doesn't.
chance if AD stays healthy and can play 40 minutes a night. I just don't think that's very likely.
He can't help himself but flop down and roll around on the court like a fish that was pulled out of the water at least 2-3 times a game. They really got to crack down on flopping and all this crap. And there's so many things we're going to get into it as when we get into finals week, and we probably spend 2 segments on NBA. But man, they got to do something about A, flopping, and B, we don't have to go to the I'm sorry, I almost said a GD camera every time someone is on the floor. We don't need to go see if it's a, whatever. They're going to
one or two, and then they go add half a second to the clock, and there's like 48 seconds left still. El Rey says that NBA would. I don't know. I mean, like the NBA's kind of getting into NFL territory. Like they would prefer Celtics Lakers, yes. But Jokic in the NBA Finals, 3-time MVP. Like I think there's some storylines.
Oh, they definitely want Lakers Warriors to win for sure.
They want Lakers Celtics or Warriors Celtics again. Sure, yeah.
I said it, and I said it. If I turn on the TV tonight and Mark Jones is doing the Lakers game, I'm not watching it. I'm just not going to watch it. I'm immediately turning it off, and you can tell me what's going on later. You can text me later. And the bad thing is there's no baseball on tonight.
This is not fair, man.
It's true though. There's actually more flopping in soccer than there is in basketball.
I'm not saying that I like it though. That's one of the parts I like the least about soccer. All right. Speaking of flopping though, Xander Schauffele was leading the Wells Fargo.
Yeah, I know. He
just hit the ball in the wall. 18.
He's my one and done pick.
As they wrap up the first round out in Charlotte, he's got a 20-foot putt for par. He could still be shared for the lead if he hits that. But Jim, these elevated events have brought something to your mind.
Yeah, if you see my eyes kind of like moving while we're on the show, it's because my TV is on golf, and my one and done is Xander Schauffele this week. So I'm waiting to see how he's going to screw it up, like Victor Hovland did a few weeks ago when he started out -7 and then finished, I don't know, like plus 28 or something along those lines. Anyway, for any golf fans out there, and if you're not a golf fan but you enjoy betting, to me, golf is the most fun sport to bet on. Even if it's only $2 here, $5 here, because you turn $5 into $100 easily if you have a little patience. But the one thing that I love that golf has done, or more specifically the PGA has done, is they have created these elevated events. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically there are, I think, 12 events now throughout the year, or is it 10 or 12, something along those lines, where they have increased the prize pool to a guaranteed $20 million prize pool. And the Wells Fargo Championship this week is one of them. The caveat is the certain professionals, if you are in the top 50, I believe, you have to commit to playing at least 9 of these. And if you don't, you get docked like Rory McIlroy got docked. He lost $3 million by not playing in the last one before this. So I think it has been a wonderful thing for this sport, because now we don't see a bunch of tournaments. We don't go a month straight without having, I don't know, 40 of the 50 best golfers on the planet playing in the same tournament. You don't go 3 weeks without seeing Jon Rahm play. You don't go 3 weeks without seeing Rory McIlroy play. At least you don't usually, or Jordan Spieth or Xander Schauffele or whoever. Think of the top players in the world. My problem is, why did we wait so long for this to happen? And the reason is, Live Golf was giving all this money out. You notice how we haven't talked a whole lot about Live lately? It's because they've gone back into being basically irrelevant. So the PGA Tour, I'm glad you did this, but why did it take you so long? You could have done this years ago, and to me, made golf what it is now. To me, the PGA is in as great a shape as it's ever been, and it might even be better had they done this 5 or 10 years ago.
Can't disagree with that. I think it's probably like everything else. The answer to your question is money, that they didn't do it.
Well, they sure found it in a hurry, didn't they?
They didn't want to spend the money or give the money to the players, but now the players will get it. You are correct. There are 12 elevated events plus the 4 majors plus the Tour Championship at the end of the year. So it's 17 events with a purse of at least $20 million. And this is one of them. It's fun. Then we got PGA Championship in 2 weeks.
Right.
And then 2 weeks after that is the Memorial, which is the next elevated event.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's actually up in Dublin, Ohio, where my sister lives. So
4 days of Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we'll be watching this weekend. Right now, Xander Schauffele and Tommy Fleet the lead, but As Schauffele's got to hit this 20-foot putt to stay tied for the lead.
Uh,
Otherwise, he's going to fall into a big tie for second with about 3 other guys.
all right, let's hear you talk about illegal gambling.
All right.
I mean, say that tongue in cheek.
Yeah, we're gonna end the show as we started it, talking about the Alabama baseball gambling scandal controversy. I mean, I think all those words apply. And I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that it's a good thing that this happened, that the Alabama baseball coach tried to fix a game. It's obviously a horrific thing for the integrity of sports. It's not something that we want to have happen. But what I take an issue with is all these people, and you see them in Twitter comments. We had a story where we broke some news regarding this, and it happened in Baton Rouge, so I'm glad we broke some news. And I got a lot of Twitter comments that day from people all over the country saying, "Oh, this is." Half of them were sports bettors who said these are the sports books being scared of losing a couple $1,000s, and the other half was people saying, "Hey, you asked for legalized gambling. You're going to have to lie in a bed that you made. This is the end of American sports as we know it." Well, you're both freaking wrong. Okay. Number one, just on the one side, real quick, the sports books are not going to fret over losing a couple $1,000s. They lose a couple $1,000s every third day. It's just that they win a few thousand the other 2 days, and they wind up ahead. But what we're worried about is Brad Bohannon on the phone with somebody in the sports book giving them inside information. That's a problem. And if any sports bettor doesn't see that that's a problem, you're an idiot and you should get out of it. But my real rant is on the other side. If you think that this is because sports betting has been legalized in more states, you've got to pull your head out. Because as we said in the beginning of the show, the 1919 Black Sox were 104 years ago. And as Jim said, there were probably cavemen trying to fix sporting events and races long before that. People were going to do this regardless of whether sports betting was in 30 states or 20 states, or if it was just in Las Vegas, or if it was nowhere. Look up point shaving scandals on Wikipedia. They've been going on for decades. The solution to this, in part, is to legalize sports gambling, is to make it more widespread. Because guess what? Then if you try to go through a legal avenue, as Brad Bohannon did, to get some money down, you're going to get caught. And we're going to police this easier, and we're going to find the bad guys, and we're going to keep the integrity of sports intact so that we can have fun watching them, we can have fun betting on them in a legal way, and we can all do it with a straight face.
What are the didn't we just have a story about the 7 dummy NFL players, Jameson Williams and company who were betting? I mean, what's the Atlanta receiver? He's not with Atlanta anymore, who got suspended for a year. For
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley was he was hurt, and so he was sitting around his TV and decided to bet a couple parlays. I mean, which in the grand scheme of things, I'm not really certain why that should be illegal anyway. But he was betting like $100 on a parlay of teams that he had nothing to do with. So, but anyway, that being the point, I mean, look, this is gonna. I'm gonna say what I said earlier in the show in case you weren't here. If you got rid of every legal sports book on the planet, every single one, there would still be point shaving. There still would be some fixing of games because you can't get rid of the bookies. It's the same as if when pot was illegal everywhere, people were still going to get pot.
It smelled it everywhere.
Exactly. Wherever you walked, it is what it is.
That was illegal.
It is what it is. I mean, let's don't be dumb about it. Let's don't be naive. So, look, I'm not saying I think they should monitor this as close as they possibly can. And I think the best way to do that is like what Zach said, the more books you have in here, the more eyes they're going to be on making sure there aren't some weird things going on. And honestly, I think there were more weird things going on back in the 70s and 80s, Pete Rose. I mean, than there are even now. We talked about the 85 Green Wave. We went back to 1919 and the Black Sox scandal. If you don't think there was fixing going on between 1919 and when Pete Rose got caught, you're crazy. So, I mean, you go back and look and find all kinds of point shaving scandal. The people that are holier than thou and say that gambling is ruining the world. You know what's ruining the world? Stupidity. That's what's ruining the world. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show.
Gambling doesn't ruin people. I ruin people.
All right. Anyway, maybe I'll ask Dunk what he thinks about it on Datitude tomorrow morning.
El Ray with another good comment. Make steroid, because steroids are illegal.
Exactly.
But people still do PEDs. So,
well, I mean, before steroids, there were all kinds of other enhancements. Apparently, and I'm not making this up. Like Babe Ruth was doing whatever the hell greenies were. There was some kind of juice they took that they thought was this big enhancer back in the day. If you go read about it, all these things that he was drinking besides alcohol
was it Jamarcus Russell's purple juice? Purple drink before there was a purple drink.
Maybe because Babe Ruth kind of got a little tubby there, just like Jamarcus at the end, but maybe not that big. Amphetamines, there you go. Yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
Well, that's our
is.
show for today. We appreciate you all stopping by, and hey, drop us a like, sub to the channel. We appreciate you all trying to grow the community, and much more to come. Jim will be back tomorrow morning with Attitude. Tell people about that, Jim.
9:15 tomorrow morning. Jeff Duncan will be my guest. Well, first of all, he said the other day he would be my guest. I tried to confirm earlier today and haven't heard back from him. So maybe it'll just be me. I don't know. That would be kind of fun. Zach's a last minute replacement, by the way. He doesn't know it yet, but if he gets a call at 9:10, he's joining the show. But as of now, status. Jeff Duncan is supposed to be on the show tomorrow, and we're going to talk Saints and have more reaction to the draft, and not just the first two picks of the draft. Although in my monologue, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm probably not going to be able to help myself. The name Isaiah Foskey will probably come up in there at some point, and then we'll get Dunk's best picks for the Kentucky Derby, and our song of the day, our outro song of the day tomorrow morning should be pretty easy to guess. We do have the Run for the Roses. You might have to be older than 45 or 50 to be able to guess it, but if you are, then you probably know what it is. Anyway,
well, I'm out.
That's coming
coming
tomorrow morning at 9:15 here on all these same social media channels.
I hope everybody knows I'm calling Jim every time Isaiah Foskey gets a sack all season long.
Oh yeah, he'll call me at least 1.5 times.
At least, especially if it's during the 8 a.m. game from Germany. So
I'll be up for that. I don't have a choice.
That's our show for today. We will be back with you, Bayou Bets, live at 4 p.m. on Monday. So join us then. For our producer, Zoe Collins-Rath, and for Jim Derry, I'm Zach Ewing. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.